So we are recording now. Let's get started with our usual thing, which is our slideshow and our welcome screen so we can see where we are. Okay, so we haven't seen each other since November 5th. So that is December, January. That's 3 months we haven't seen each other. There's a lot of things that happened in that time. You went off and you took some other classes. And now we're back to chemistry. And as always, here's our welcome screen. So here's the things that you need. First thing you need is a good memory. We're going to go back and try to remember everything that we did. You need a periodic table. Maybe you remember where one is and you can have it handy. You need to be a member of Google Classroom. And yes, that's some great spelling, Miss Herman. Membership. You had the same misspelling first period. You could have edited it before we came to second period, but no, why would I do that? We're going this week to be looking at our textbook in chapter 2 and chapter 4. So those are the same chapters that we looked at first quarter. We spent the first quarter really just honing in on the atom. What's an atom? How is it made together? What's happening with all the parts of the electrons and protons? As we go in this semester, we're going to start, we looked at a little bit at reactions in first semester. So second semester is when we're going to start mixing things together to kind of see how that goes. Okay, it looks like I have most people here. Let me do one thing here before I forget. There we go. Okay, so as always, we start with a focus question. So here's today's focus question, and that is, how much do you remember from chemistry first quarter? And I have here a few different flasks that you can choose from. The first flask is, of course, clear and empty. Maybe you choose empty. I remember nothing. Maybe it's this blue one that's half empty. Maybe it's this pink one that's half full. Maybe it's this red one that's all the way full. And maybe it's this purple one that is all the way up to overflowing. We're going to do this by using a little poll. So this is something new I'm learning in Zoom, how to do polls. So choose one of these answers. And let's see how much we remember. Oh, I got to move this out of the way. All right, I have 18 people voted. Thank you for the fun jokes in the chat. I appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else still voting? Oh, what happened here? Okay. I have to move. I will never get used to the fact that Zoom changes all my windows every time I want to share. Okay. All right. Well, looks like most people have voted. Let's see how we feel. So here's what we got. It looks like there's a pretty big spread, actually. About a third of the people say, I remember nothing. Like, who's Miss Herman? What's chemistry? I don't know what's going on there. About a third of the people say, well, half. I remember half. And some of those are half empty. And some of you are more optimistic saying half full. That's pretty good. One person even said full. All right. So we're going to do some review things. Then we're going to take this poll again to see if we've made any progress. Sound like a plan? Okay. Let me move this over here. Okay. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at a calendar. So we're going to take a look at what's happening in the next few weeks. So we kind of know where we are, what we're doing. We're going to start a new assignment, which I am calling review, because that's what we're doing, review. We have a new topic, topic 4. You might remember that in first semester, we got 1, 2, 3 topics. Now we're on topic 4. And scavenger hunt, that's right. I have a whole list of things that you should have somewhere from first semester, including a textbook or access to the online textbook and a periodic table and those plastic colored chips and a handout about electron configurations and some covalent puzzle pieces and of course the whole chemistry kit with your goggle. Like, yeah, so much stuff. So we have to go figure out where that stuff is. But let's start with the calendar. There's a lot happening on this slide. Don't freak out. We're here on Monday, February 1st, and you can see that the assignment that we're doing is 4A, the first assignment for topic 4, and it's going to be due on Friday. So there's a lot of different things we're going to do. I'm going to try to keep it light, try to keep it fun. I'm going to put you in groups randomly and then put you in new groups randomly so that everybody remembers something. And if you keep moving and changing people, eventually you can work together to remember everything. On Friday, we're going to start a lab, and the lab we start Friday is a long-term lab. Notice that it is not due until Thursday, the 18th. So we're going to set some stuff up on Friday and then let it run for a couple weeks and check in on it. Other things to know about, there is no school on Friday the 12th. So not this Friday, but next Friday, and no school on the following Monday. So you have a midwinter break in there. We have iReady testing. I don't know if your first period teacher told you this, but next week on Wednesday and the following week on Wednesday, we do iReady testing. That means that you go to your first period class, you start the iReady test, and you take it till you're done. And your teacher should be available to help you with any troubleshooting from starting at 8:30 until about noon. Hopefully you take lots of breaks. Don't just sit there still all of that time. You'd be exhausted. Another fun thing that's happening, you are high school students in 9th grade. So Mr. Pulaski, our school counselor, is going to come to our class next week on Thursday and do something called the High School and Beyond Plan. So there are some things where you go over what requirements and what classes you need to take in high school to graduate high school, as well as some thoughts about career, some thoughts about electives that you might want to take. So you're doing some things thinking now and beyond. And so we have one meeting in our class. I think you're going to meet in your math classes for the other one. Maybe in fitness. I think maybe fitness was going to use one of their periods as well. Okay, a lot of stuff happening. One thing that I already had a question about is, what is study group? So I don't know if you know this, but here's something fun. There's a calendar program on Google Classroom, and I can show you about that. So some people noticed that there was a thing about study group. Here's my thoughts. Wednesday is a short period, and first quarter, I always felt super rushed trying to cram stuff in there. It was stressful. And I thought, a better use of Wednesdays would be a study group time. And this would be a time where people who need help or want help, especially students that really struggled first semester, could get some help and we can review and work together. So this would be a time that we would work on homework. There are some students that I am going to personally encourage strongly, maybe even require to come, because we know that you could use some more assistance. I'm not going to turn anyone away. So even if you turned in every single assignment and got perfect scores and everything and aced all the tests, if you still want to come to study group, I'm not going to tell you can't come and you can't learn. In fact, you might even be super helpful to work with somebody else who's struggling, and then the two of you could work together. So that would be good. So I'm putting this, so our Wednesdays are going to be study group time. And then I'm also have another time on Thursday afternoon. So Thursday after school, kind of a study group time. I'm setting those two times aside as when we can get together. Okay, that's a lot of information on the calendar slide. Any questions, comments, concerns I can talk about with you? Okay. So let's talk about our next thing. Oh, hang on. Sorry. I'm not ready for the break slide yet because so let's take a look at Google Classroom. So here's our Google Classroom for second period chemistry. It's the same Google Classroom that we had. So if you look at Google Classroom and you scroll down here, you will see here's our new thing, exchange reactions. That's right, second semester, lots of reactions. We've actually done a little bit about exchange reactions. These are reactions where elements trade places. So, and that's going to be our focus for the next couple weeks. But if you scroll down here, you can see, oh, there's all the stuff that we learned about ionic and covalent bonds. Here's stuff about material properties. There's a lot of stuff listed here. So all those assignments are still there. If you remember something or you want to review something, it's all still there. But this is our current topic. The other thing is even before the topic, I have a new thing here called Zoom recordings. So I am going to record classes and I am going to post links so that you can rewatch them. So gosh, that joke that Miss Herman told was super funny. I need to watch that again. Here's where you can get it. Or that was super complicated and I don't think I got all the notes down as fast as Miss Herman was talking. I'm going to watch that video again and now I can write down all those notes. Or I was sick, or I had a doctor's appointment, or my internet was out on that day. You can go back and you can take a look at them. The other thing is that I'm going to use the same document for first period and second period recordings. So if you want to, you can spy on first period and find out all the fun they're having in there that you might have missed out on. So if I'm super organized, I might even put slideshows there. No promises though. Okay, so here's what I would like you to do. We're going to take a small break while you do the following things. Come and take a look at this assignment. So in this assignment, oh, go away. I don't want you there. My bar came down and is blocking my view. All right, fine. I'll just look down at this part of the screen. So if you take a look at the assignment, you can see that there's a little schedule, so things that we're working on. We are going to do a little Kahoot quiz tomorrow for fun and learning. I know Kahoot quizzes can be for learning. Who knew that? And so there's a lot of different sections. There's a lot of things attached here. So the first assignment, the first file that says 4A-AP for active practice review, that's the file you actually submit. And then there's a bunch of things here that we'll be working on. We're going to have a slide when you work in groups today, a place where you can write down questions that you have. So we have sort of a central location where we can collect all that information. Also part of this assignment are some review activities. One is the periodic table infographic. So if you picked up handouts at school, you should have gotten a little picture that you color. And then this maze, counting atoms maze, is probably going to be challenging. And then I also put the slideshow reviewing everything in topic 3. So this is a place where it's a resource of things that you can, a resource of all the things that we did in topic 3. So you can look, a lot of words, but it's just kind of a nice place to have everything. Okay, so how long has Ms. Herman been talking? Not bad. So it's 10:49. So let's take about, let's call it 3 minutes. And in the next 3 minutes, here's what you should do. You should go to Google Classroom, find this assignment for AP review, open it up and take a look at it. For Andy, I sent this to you as an email attachment in Microsoft Word, which I believe you're getting more skilled at accessing that way because Google Classroom is not super friendly. So let's take a few minute break to go get our stuff. So I will see you back at, look at that, 10:53. So come back with your assignment and your textbook if you have it. and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, Susan, I also sent that in an email to you, if you got that.
I did, thank you.
Okay. Oh, I should refill my water. Oh, I have something in the chat. What does the chat say? Oh, goodness. Okay. Okay, how are we doing? Everyone was able to find the assignment and open it. I had a couple of people in first period that topic 4 wasn't even on their Google Classroom, and we needed to sort that out. Move that out of the way. Okay. And okay, hang on. I need to switch screens. Make this work. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look. So here when I'm in Google Classroom, oh, hang on. I'm going to wait and see if more people are here. Okay, so here when I'm in Google Classroom, I come down to this assignment, 4A AP review. And here's what the assignment looks like. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see more of it. What I did was I went through all the assignments we had And so all the assignments, they have a top that has the when it's due, a link to Google Classroom, and then a list of tasks. And then there's a list of resources. So I went through all the resources for all the assignments and tried to pick things that I thought were sort of big and global. There's also some new stuff. So what we're going to do first is we're going to explore these resources. I will put you in random groups. As a group, you can take a look at whatever you want and talk to each other. This is the really important thing. Like you might be looking at a resource and say, hey, did they just use that word? I don't remember what that word is. And then you might have a neighbor in your group that knows what it is, or you might have neighbors in your group that don't know, and we have to put that on the list of things to review. So we have previously used an online simulation called Gizmo. I found another resource called the physical education I don't remember tool. I don't know, but it's from the University of Colorado. So they have a simulation about building an atom that you can check out, and also one about building molecules that you can check out. One resource is, of course, our book. So I have listed chapter 2, lesson 10 for the periodic table, and then some lessons in chapter 4 about valence and core electrons, ionic bonds, and covalent bonds. There's some videos. One thing I dislike about some of these videos, I watch a lot of videos. I watch so many videos to try to pick out the best ones. What I dislike is videos where in the first 30 seconds they go through about, 20 vocabulary words. Like that's a lot. So, and then of course I have some other stuff. I have a slideshow that I downloaded from somebody else made, and then my own topic 3 review slideshow. You are not limited to these resources. Okay, you are welcome to use whatever resources you want. If you find a good one, please tell me about it so that I can share it with other students. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. We're going to do 2 things, but this is the first thing we're going to do, which is section 1, resource exploration. So I'm going to ask you to look at 3 things, any 3 things. So for today, we're just going to do one thing. We're going to do another one tomorrow. And then by Friday, we'll have 3 things. So in this table, tell me, what did you explore? So tell me what it is. Whether it's a simulation or a video, say which one it is. You can even copy and paste from the top of the resources section and put it in here. Talk about what this resource was good for. This is important because if you wanted to go back and look at something, it's nice to know what resource it was and what kind of information it had. Also, note some things about questions you have. And what I'd really like is some information about how this resource could be improved. Like, Ms. Herman, this was good for these things, but it could have gone slower. It should have had better pictures. It forgot to mention this one detail that I think is important. So some things in there. So here's what you're going to do. I'm going to put you in a breakout room. Okay. I'm going to put you in a breakout room. I would ask that one person shares their screen so that everybody can look at the resource together. In first period, there were a lot of people that were in the breakout room and they were each doing different things, and that's okay too, but it's nice to talk together as well. I am strongly encouraging everyone to have their camera and microphone on in the breakout room because it's like a small group and you're there and friends and it builds community, and it's a lot easier to ask a question if you can see someone's face. And we really want to set up a situation where people feel comfortable asking questions. And then you can do those things together. So watch the video together, play with the simulation together, read together. There's another piece here, and that is I would really like to capture what things you reviewed as well as what questions you have. And that's this, which is the group review slides. If we were in class, I would have you take a Post-it note and say, I learned this, and write it on the Post-it note, and then stick it on the whiteboard for things we learned. And I have a question about this, and put it on a Post-it note and stick it on the whiteboard so that we knew what questions we still had. That's what this is about. Okay, Ms. Herman, you're giving me too much information. I know. Hang in there. Give me the X back. Thank you, Google Slides. So if you take a look at this assignment, you see this here that says group review slides. So this is a file that everyone can look at all at the same time and everyone can add their stuff on. So when you're looking at your thing, you can, okay, here's something I learned, here's something I remembered, and you can stick it there. So we kind of remember, and then things that we still need help on. And we need to know this week for sure so that I know what kinds of things we need to review. Okay, Ms. Herman, can you say that all again, but without so many words? Yes. I'm going to put you in a group. In your group, you're going to choose something to explore in these resources. You're going to explore it. And then you're going to make notes of things that you remembered or learned from it and questions that you still have. And you could do that in two places. One is the whole group board, and then individually in your assignment for your own notes. All right.
Do we choose a video or whatever as a group?
Yes, I would like you to choose as a group because then you can all talk about the same thing together. At home, you're going to have a chance to do this on your own and choose your own thing later. So I would like you to do the same thing together so you can talk about it. If you can't agree, it's okay if it's separate.
Okay.
Yeah. If like, I hate simulations, I'm not going to use that, and somebody else loves them, don't come to blows over it. I mean, not worth that. Okay, so let me set up my breakout rooms. Hang on, somebody posted something in the chat. So yes, you will eventually fill in this whole table. Today in class, we're just gonna aim on filling out one row. We're gonna do one resource today. Okay, let me set up my breakout rooms. If I can get to my toolbar. This is gonna be easier if I stop sharing. Thank you. Okay. Let's see what happens. Okay, is that even? No, it's not even. One of these people needs to go to, oh wait, hang on a second. Needs to go to 6. And then where is, oh, what happened? Hang on, sorry. Miss Herman's trying to do too much. 1, 2. All right, that is 3 people. My phone's in there, but it doesn't need to be there. Okay, so let's give this a try. It is 11:03. So let me give you, I'll check in with you as we go, but let's aim at doing this in about 15 to 20 minutes, right? So explore the resource for 5 to 10 minutes and then jot down your ideas for about 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, let's see what we can find out. And let's see, Bilal, Alden, do you have a question that you're waiting to ask me? Isaiah? Okay. Okay, so now let me write down my rooms. All right, as we all come back from breakout rooms, let me get back to where we are here. Okay. Okay. All right, I think everybody is back. So hopefully you had a chance to look at some resources and jog your memory a bit to even remember something that you might have learned or learn something for the first time. I have a slide up right now to remind you about how to find the online textbook. Personally, my ClassLink is broken, so I can't demonstrate this. So if you go to ClassLink, in the upper left corner, you should see this symbol. So this is the symbol of the publisher of our textbook. And that's where you can find the online textbook. Look around, see what happens. I'm asking you to find chapter 2, lesson 10, because that's the part that talks about the whole periodic table, which will go with something that you're working on independently. So I just want to make sure that you can click around and find that. If you have trouble, let me know. Hang on, and let me get my chat back up here so people can chat to me. And give me back, oh, come here, Zoom, give me my button. There it is. All right. But let's do another poll and let's see how we feel now. Oh, cancel. Hang on, let me get to this slide. Okay, so here's our focus question. Remember a focus question? So how full do you feel your brain flask is now? Let's see. After you've had a chance to do some of these things, how much do you remember now from first quarter? Oh, good. Lots of votes are coming in. Okay, what happened to my poll here? Shoot, where'd my button go for my poll? There it is. Okay. All right, looks like most people. Okay, so check this out. We have more people feeling more optimistic in the half full area instead of the half empty. Even someone that feels like I'm full and I'm purple, overflowing with so much knowledge. Great. Okay, so hopefully, here's what's happened. Hopefully, with your group, you looked at some things. So let me share my screen again. So here's your assignment. So hopefully you looked at least one thing. You looked at one of these things, anything, and then you filled out this row for yourself, what you explored, what you learned from it, what it explained well, what questions you have, and some things that you think it would have been better if it had done, like this is better if I do it at a slow speed, or this is better, it needs better pictures, doesn't have very good pictures. And this is important because then you'll know, you'll have a resource, the notes from the resource, and you know what it has. If you go back to it, you can review it. Okay, so hopefully you filled out one row. Then something I asked you to do that worked for some groups and not for other groups. That's okay. We're still trying things. And that is just to jot down some things that you learned. So for instance, I have something from group 1, learning about ionic bonds. Yes, that's something that we did before. So group 2 doesn't look like you jotted anything down, but group 3, oh my goodness. I'm going to have to make that really small to read it. Okay, so we have molecular bonds, shared electrons. So we know that elements become connected by either transferring electrons in an ionic bond or shared electrons from molecular bond. Oh, here's another thing. Ionic bonds are between metals and nonmetals. So that's something that we remembered. Need help on other stuff. I don't know what other stuff that is, but I'm sure it exists. Let's see. Okay, so we learned some things about ionic bonds and covalent bonds. Need help on anything there. And so we learned that atoms can gain electrons or lose electrons. Something that happened in first period that somebody jotted down was that electrons are negative charge. So one thing that they wrote down that they remembered was that because electrons are negative, if you gain them, you get more negative. So you actually, like, your charge goes down. Whereas if you lose electrons, your charge goes up because you're losing negative. And yes, we definitely still need help talking about elements. Oh, another thing that came up first period was talking about how the periodic table is arranged. That was something that they remembered. And okay, so those are some things that we remembered. Anybody want to volunteer some things that you learned or remembered so that we can put it on a slide here or things that you had help with so that we can tell Ms. Herman what you need to know still?
I learned that the atoms that have an outer shell that contain 8 electrons are considered chemically stable.
Okay, so that's true. Electrons are organized in shells, so that's good. And so when it has 8 electrons, it's stable. Yes. Yep, that's an important thing to know. Yes, and so atoms will tend to lose or gain electrons to try to get to that stability. Anything else that we learned or remembered? You can put it in the chat, or you can be brave like Maya and say it out loud. David, I think I talked to you in a group and you told me stuff. Is it written down here? Can you tell me again what you said and I can type it?
No, I didn't write there. I wrote ions are formed from the loss or gain from electrons.
Okay, from loss or gain of electrons. So there's that ions
And then
part.
I wrote electrons do not suddenly appear or disappear. They are transferred from one atom to the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is don't appear or disappear. Yes, this is the concept that matter cannot be created or destroyed. It's just moved from one place to another. Disappear. Okay, I'm going to have to make that smaller so it fits there. Oh, no, it'll fit. Okay, so this is good. Okay, we've been working for a while, right? Yes. Let's take a little break. It's 11:35, so let's come back at 11:40, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do independently between today and tomorrow. Okay, so where'd my break slide go? Here's my break. So let's come back at 11:40. And when you come back with your textbook. And if you made it to school on Friday, you should have a handout. And so come with those handouts, especially the one that looks like this, because that's the one we're going to talk about that we're going to work on independently. That's the one that has all sorts of clues about different characteristics, and then you sort them into different groups. All right, but I will see you back here at 11:40. So go away from the screen. Go get some drink or water or a snack. Walk around and stretch, and I'll see you back here at 11:40. Okay, so welcome back. Okay. So I have a few comments from people saying, hey, there's a lot happening in this assignment. Yes, there is. So that's why we have a whole week. And also remember, we're reviewing everything we did in the first semester in 1 week. So we had 9 weeks of stuff that we did together, and we're kind of going over it. So it does have a lot of parts. So I'm going to start with Google Classroom, and we can look at all the parts. Also, if you stay on this schedule, you should be fine. So here's our goal for Monday. So we did a little piece of section 1, exploring. So you explored one resource and you took some notes about it. And then independently for homework, you're going to do a second one. So that's the second thing to do. And then you're going to take a look at section 2, which is the periodic table infographic that I'm going to talk about. So those are the things that you're focusing on. By the end of today, before you come back to class tomorrow, you should have looked at 2 resources and taken notes and worked on the periodic table infographic I'm going to talk about in just a moment. Okay, I will pause to see if anyone wants to yell, Ms. Herman, wait, I still don't understand. So here's your chance. Okay. Thank you, Corin. Okay, so if you take a look down here so this is the periodic table infographic. Yes, it is confusing. That's why I'm going to talk about it. So if you came on Monday, then you got a handout. If you didn't come on Monday, I made this little electronic file that you can look at. Hang on, it's this one right here. I did it as a Google Jamboard because I thought that was the closest you could get to actual like filling it in and coloring. So here's the thing. There's a bunch of different stuff here. So for instance, if you look, it's got, you can think of this as like little cards, right? So each area on here, like it says group 1. So group 1 goes with something. I don't know what it goes with. And then I have another card that just has a capital F, lowercase e. I don't know what that is. It must go with something. So there are 9 different categories that these things are in. So alkali metals, alkaline earth metals, transition metals, rare earth metals. So for instance, this area right here that says group 1, I know that's on the periodic table. So I might need my periodic table. So here's my periodic table. And I might know that group 1 is the furthest left column on the periodic table. And when I look at my periodic table, I can see up at the top, it calls it alkali metals. So what you're going to do is see each of these clues and decide which category that clue goes with. Now on the Jamboard and on the piece of paper, you can color code if you want. So for instance, if I decide, now disclaimer, there's 9 different categories, but Jamboard only has 6 different colors and one of them is white. So that's kind of tricky. But if you use different pens, they come out differently. Like if I use just a regular pen, I get sort of a scribble. And if I use the highlighter, I get sort of a wide, bright mark. So those colors come out a little bit different. So maybe you can do that. So for instance, if I choose that alkali metals, I say, okay, I'm going to use that as blue. So which of these clues go with alkali metals? And one thing I know is that group 2 or group 1 is alkali metals. So I would color it the same color because I know that those go together. Does that make sense? So for every one of these sections, you have some information and you have to decide which category that goes with. The way I know that you've done this, and also the way you organize this information for notes, is if we look at our assignment, section 2, periodic table infographic. Oh, what happened here? Notice there's a table here and it has all the categories. So here's the same 9 categories: alkali metals, alkaline earth metals, transition metals. So anything you find on that infographic that you know goes in that category. So for instance, I just found that group 1 belongs with alkali metals, right? So that's something that goes in that group. And I'm going to, hang on, I'm going to put 2 things on my screen at once so we can see both of these. All right. So there's the information there, and here's this information here. Okay, I know that I have 2 things on here that I'm trying to squish, so hopefully they'll both fit. All right, so for instance, when I have this little card section that says FE, well, what is FE? I have to look at the periodic table. If I look at it, I go, oh wait, here's a little box. Element number 26 says Fe, that stands for iron. And iron, what kind of group does it go with? Well, iron is in transition metals. So I know that Fe, so if I chose, so the piece of paper and highlighting can help you keep track of which ones you've done already. So now I have transition metals is yellow. And then I would know that in my notes on transition metals, I would type in Fe for iron. So I know iron is a transition metal. All right. Does that make more sense? I thought it would be more fun sorting little information than just saying, write down notes for each of these things. That was my hope. But eventually what you're going to end up with is some notes here, and we'll go over it tomorrow so we can check our answers together to see if we could sort all of these things out. Okay, questions before I summarize what to do between today and tomorrow? Okay, so here's where we are. So to prepare for next class, here's what you're going to do. You're going to explore another resource. So today you looked at one thing and you wrote notes about one thing in section 1. So in your table, you filled out that table. So between now and tomorrow, look at another thing. So maybe it brought up questions. You can look at a different thing and try to answer that question. Okay, the other thing you're going to do is the periodic table infographic. That is the very confusing drawing that has lots of information. You're going to sort that information. I wrote finish here because I expected that we were going to start it today. So you might not finish it. You might just start it. And then to prepare for next class, you're going to find everything related to chemistry. And I have a visual aid here for you. So the packet that I gave you in first semester is actually a photocopy of Appendix D in the textbook. So if you have your textbook, then you can just do Appendix D. You also have some colored plastic chips. They look like this. Here's some colored plastic chips. So somewhere you have those things, so you can find those, so we can use those. You have a chemistry kit. So one that you got in September and another one that you may have picked up Friday, or you're going to school and you're going to pick it up today and tomorrow. So that's something you need to find. And then there's stuff that I sent you in the mail. There's these electron configuration templates. They're squares, like big columns of squares. So we're going to talk about more of that this week. and then some covalent puzzle pieces that I mailed you. Yes, turmeric is one of the fun things that you got in your kit on Friday. Yes, on in September you got 3 packages of white powders. On Friday, yes, you got orange powder and blue rocks and multicolored, and a mixture that had multicolored straws in it, and white nails and other stuff. Yes, I went for colorful things this time. Yes, there's a balloon in there. There's a lot happening in that. Okay, how do we feel? Do we feel like we know stuff now? Maybe? All right, so take some time between today and tomorrow to familiarize yourself with chemistry, find your chemistry stuff, kind of remember what's happening. And then tomorrow we'll go over the, oh, I just got a question in the chat. Yes, you might remember in September, you said, Ms. Herman, are we going to have all sorts of crazy chemistry? Like, yeah, we're going to save the blowing things up until second semester. And it's true. We're going to blow things up second semester. So exciting. Yes, if you need to pick up stuff, you can go by Choice Academy. There is a box near the office that has chemistry things, and the 3 things that you need to get. 1 is a handout packet. 1 is a Ziploc bag that has supplies in it. And 3 is a chemistry fabric face mask that is yours to keep. So, and you can come by Choice until they're open from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. I think that's true. So you can go by then and pick it up. If people are still, let me know if you're having problems picking it up, and we'll see what we can do to connect you with your things. All right. I have said and shared everything I needed to share. And you are welcome to stay if you have questions to ask me, but otherwise, go have some lunch. Welcome to second semester. Welcome to third quarter, and I will see you tomorrow.
No homework.
Homework. It's just a sorting activity, Isaiah. You'll be fine. Oh, Corwin, that's interesting about spray paint. Yes, because if they're charged particles, then they repel each other. And so for spray paint, then it like lets them cover then it comes out as a nice spray. That's a good thing to think about too.